Good day everyone and welcome to another vlog for the Exodus 7 to 12 kJV project. In this vlog I actually have quite a few things to share, so I'm going to try and get through all this as quickly as possible. Now on the screen you can see that we have Moses looking at the palace, if you can even make out that is the palace, from quite a distance away, and you can see he's quite fuzzy, but you can see that the fuzziness doesn't quite extend past the border. This is a common problem that I've experienced with the defocus node in Blender. If you don't know which node I'm talking about, I'm going to quickly show you. It's this one. Now, I've seen many people get great results with this thing. I have no idea how they do that. How they do that. I have even watched tutorials on it. I somehow just never ever get the stupid thing to work. I don't know why. I'm not saying it's them. I'm not even sure what the problem is, but God did give me a solution this week, and that is to, instead of using this node, it was to use the depth map as well, just like this one requires, but to use it in combination with the blur nodes. So I want to show you the solution. That's what it looks like. That's what it's supposed to look like when you use depth of field. You're supposed to get this fuzziness that goes over the sharpness of the background. And for some reason I just never get that bleed over with the defocus node. It only does that with closer objects. It doesn't do that with objects in the distance that are clear. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But it's supposed to look like this. So I did a little video experiment to see if I could, for example, shift the focus from a clear Moses and a fuzzy background to a fuzzy Moses and a clear background. You know that shift you often see when location is established. You see like a fence that's clear and the background is fuzzy, and then the camera shifts focus and the fence becomes fuzzy and you can see the buildings behind the fence very clearly. That sort of thing, you know, that gradual change. And I got a horrible result and then I got a good result. I'm going to show you both. Okay, so I'm going to set this to loop, and this is after some refinement to get a clear line here with something that's really out of focus in the background. It kind of bled over this little edge over here, but I hope to do a full tutorial on this. I'm not making any promises. I'm just saying that this was a very needed tool for me, so I can't imagine it not being needed for you guys. So this is what it looks like, the bad result. It's not that it's completely horrible, but you can see the focus kind of flashes in and out over the Suzanne in the background. That's not good. It has to go smooth all the way to the back. It's not supposed to get that weird look to it. I like the progressive focus until that sort of wobble flash thing happens at the back. I don't like that. So the better result looks like this. Exact same thing, just a different animation. I really like this result for a focus shift. Unfortunately, it's not as super obvious as you might think in terms of animating the depth map to kind of shift the focus from the front to the back. I mean, you would think you would make the monkey white, and then you'd make the cubes white, and then you would make the background and the other Suzanne white, but it's actually not that obvious. And I'm going to be showing you this one's animated depth map so you can see what the depth map responds like when it's actually responding correctly. It's a lot more gradual than you would anticipate, and the blocks that are out of focus, like almost completely out of focus, are a medium gray. They're not completely black. So you see what I mean by it's not as obvious as you might think it is. Not to mention the fact that the background already starts to become more in focus as soon as the shift starts taking place. Anyway, moving on to sound. So as you see, we have our little audio folder here again. Now this week I didn't get to do as many new sounds as I would have liked to. For example, there's a pot break and a glass break sound that I still am looking for, but I haven't had peace about going out late at night and breaking things on our verandas or stuff like that, because it generally, with the neighbors, would invoke a message of, oh, someone's breaking in, call the police, or just shoot. So I'm trying to just relax about that and find a solution. Probably I would have to either let the people know that they are going to be hearing those kinds of sounds, but they might forget that, or I have to just find or make a quiet place to break these things in. So that's something for this week, hopefully. But I did get a different Ibis sound. So this one has some chirping, but it's cleaner than the other one, and it has a little bit more of an outside distant sound. So this is what it sounds like. So as you can hear, it's quite far in the distance, even though it wasn't technically that far. But the birds were behind a tree when I was trying to record it. I wanted to keep my phone out of the wind so that you wouldn't get that sound in the recording. So this is actually a very good result. It was a nice result. Unfortunately, the sacred Ibis doesn't sound like this at all. Seriously, I'll put a link in the description to a video that actually lets you hear what they sound like. They sound kind of like a muffled puppy or something. It's weird. I was thinking, because they look the same, about the same size, same build, same name, same class, that they would actually sound the same. But oh, no. You get very different sounds with very different plumage. If I can say it like that. So in all likelihood, because they're a much more quiet bird, I would stick to wing sounds instead, which I did work a little bit on today, but it's not today, this week, but it's not super great, so I'll let you hear that. Obviously it needs to be fixed, but you get the idea. It was basically just a single stroke of a pen on a piece of paper, you know, that type sound, and that was just delayed. So it creates this kind of winged effect from the 80s, which I'm not crazy about. I would rather find a different way of recording it. I'm not crazy about that. Anyway, moving on. We also have an outside sound, birds that are outside. So I'm going to be playing you the busy one because there's more birds. There's a very simple trick to making something sound like it's outside, but this has to be applied to dry sound, not echoey sound already. And that is simply to add a very small amount of echo to a recording, and also add a lot of reverb, but at a very low volume. So you're going to go for something like a church hall or a cathedral or something like that, and you're just going to make that very low volume. And it creates this sort of like an ambience of a foresty type feel, or a garden, a fairly large garden. You know, there's a slight echo and there's a little bit of reverb. It creates a really open, slightly enclosed outside space. It's really, really amazing. So this is what it sounds like. You can hear, especially on that strong chirp, you can hear that slight reverb and echo just carry off but drop almost instantly. It's absolutely perfect. Okay, and moving on from there, we are going to 3D. Okay, so this is a very low resolution of the side-by-side, showing an anaglyph version of Moses. The first shot, actually, where, let me just see if I can set this to Okay, it's already got it. Okay, so I'm just going to set it to auto refresh. Okay. So basically all this is a climbing shot, just like in the storyboard video, that it just goes up and it runs for approximately 30 seconds, and he picks up the staff and puts it down, and you get a really nice result here. Now there are a few issues here with the 3D method specifically, because for example you struggle to focus on the stick and on his hand when his hand is over the sky because of the depth difference between the two. Remember, this is a conversion method. This is not a using Blender's own tools to do this. This is a method God helped me make over a few years that allows you to use a single render to create your final 3D view. So it's a conversion, it's a distortion. Okay, so you can see that over here on the jacket, or it's not really a jacket. Tunic? Let's go for tunic. Whatever. So that's really cool. So that's the what that looks like. If you have anaglyph glasses, you'll be able to see this. If not, you're just gonna have to wait for the 3D version, assuming I actually get to finish. So that's like, I'm very satisfied with this. God also helped me turn this into a verse image for this week. Okay, so this is the OpenGL. I strongly encourage you guys to use OpenGL as a way of checking speed of your animation. Oftentimes the viewport won't move or update fast enough, at least with the current version of Blender. I'm using 2.77 alpha, which is a fairly old version and has quite a few bugs in it, because they also released a beta for it. But you don't change Blender versions mid-project. It's just not smart. So I've been working on this for a very long time, as well as a few other things that also make me not want to update just yet. The goal is to try and get things good for 2.8. So anyway, moving on, this is what the OpenGL looks like. Now this was before I did a little bit of refining, because Moses was way too big for the scene. So I had to bring him down. He was like 4 or 5 times the size of the average human being in the scene. So it was just not going to work. He had to come down a lot in size. So I'm going to show you what the adjusted texture coordinates made this look like. Now, as you can see, for this one, I wasn't interested in the ground or anything else, because quite frankly, the ground was irrelevant to this one. And I found that if I turned those things off, the viewport updates a little bit faster, not quite fast enough, but it did make a significant difference. And I know that's obvious, but you don't always think of these things when you're working on something. So anyway, this is what the updated version looks like. As you can see, it doesn't have these major movements, but I didn't want the wind to be like super strong. I just wanted it to be there. So he got his arm kind of swinging, he puts the stick down, we got the eyes blinking, we've got the hair going. It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So what this looks like in the final view. Absolutely amazing. Now, of course, getting back into the 3D part here, I don't want 3D to just be like a gimmick. I'll talk more about that in the post today, but I wanted to actually add to the story. So what I did was, with the one that is still rendering, I had to stop it so I can record the vlog and edit it and get it up and whatever. But I'm going to be showing you a few frames from the next shot. Okay, so this is the next shot, and as you can see, this is where the whole defocus thing was super needed, as well as focal length. God helped me adjust the focal length to just the right amount so that you can see the palace very clearly, but Moses is not competing with the palace for screen space. It turned out extremely well. I'm super happy about it. So what I need to do is I just need to move this render space a little bit upward, some like that, so that we can actually scan through it. So at the moment is this thing reversed? No, it's looping because it didn't finish rendering it. Okay, that explains it. Okay, so I'm just going to take it to where it stopped, where I stopped it just now, which is about there. Yeah, there. Okay, I'm just going to put a frame there. Okay, so now we have our 646 frames here. So what I did was I started out with the 3D standing out pretty much only. And I moved it back from about where the focus shifts off of Moses. You know, you can see it starts getting fuzzy. And watch as the red and the blue shift. You can see that it's slowly switching out as the 3D method shifts to indent only. Because I wanted the 3D to add to the focus of the scene instead of being a distraction from it. I wanted that kind of feeling where this is a big thing that's about to take place. You know, this is very big. This is very, it's got a grand scale to it. That's what the goal was here. And the goal with blurring Moses was so that you won't focus on him, but that you would be forced to focus on the palace and the mountains and the scenery. And as the scenery shifts, you can see that the palace comes more into view as well. Now this will shift a lot more in the next almost say 350 frames. Got us quite a long thing to say here. So these first two shots amount to approximately a minute or so in terms of footage. But I didn't want to have a lot going on so that you actually can listen while still enjoying something meaningful. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this. I'm not saying that everything that you're going to try is going to be successful in that sense. I'm just saying that that was the goal. So you can see that there's a very clear shift in the depth used. So I still need to check that all the depth information, all that kind of stuff is correct. I would really hate to re-render this because I did check it. I went like this, you know, this frame, then this frame, and then this frame, and then that frame, to make sure that the shift is, number one, gradual, and number two, actually add something. So I'm looking forward to seeing this thing running smoothly. I don't want to create excess data on my computer because it just sucks up too much space. When you have a project this size, you need all the space you can get. Even with a terabyte available, you still need all the space you can get. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be awesome. And now I get to show you guys the first image, and that will be it for the week. Bam! Basically what was happening here was this frame was actually not, I think this one was the one that was rendering when I went to make this image, and I saw that his eyes were closed, and I was like, that is a perfect image. And I wanted to use the background in it, but unfortunately Moses is like almost square in the center. Slightly off to the right, but not quite far enough to add something like this. And I totally know that this was God's idea, but I just saw him on a black background with this glowy type mistiness around him, and I was like, that is perfect. And this was the verse that came to mind. So I already wrote a post about these two magicians that withstood Moses, but I will link to that in the description below if you guys are interested in go and finding out a little bit more about who they were and all that kind of stuff. So that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great one, and God bless you.